Artificial intelligence is rewriting the rules of education technology, promising more personalized learning, smarter classrooms, and faster skills training. But as AI lowers the barrier to entry, it's also unleashing a new wave of edtech startups, raising a harder question for investors, educators, and parents alike. Is this a genuine leap in learning quality, or just an explosion of software dressed up as education? Well, to understand how AI is altering the edtech industry and its services, we welcome back Camila Sáenz, the founder of the tutoring platform Tuteemi, which is based in Taipei, but Camila is speaking to us from Guatemala City. And joining us from San Francisco is Christian Van Der Henst, the co-founder of Platzi, who also started the venture capital firm Region 4. Now, Christian, I'm going to start with you. Platzi is an AI education platform. It offers users AI as a partner, not just as a tool. Can you explain how that works?
We've been embracing technology, and I believe that every business that I invest at this point had embraced AI. In 2022, I still remember when ChatGPT, when the version 2 appear, and I kind of feel like that was a very important moment. You probably remember when everyone was sharing in their social networks the chat conversations that they were having with ChatGPT. That's when all this started. Fast forward to today, we are programming and we are telling a computer how we want to build our websites or apps or software. And people don't no longer need to learn programming languages. I feel like people will still go to school for taking computer science courses, but definitely there's a more low-level way of just telling a computer what you want. And that's what AI is bringing together. And right now, I really believe in companies that have very high-skilled technical teams and are willing to solve problems the fastest as possible using AI and using technology. And that's part of the formula that we're using to detect and sponsor future companies and future startups.
Christian, do you see a point where AI will completely replace human teachers? And is that a future that we do want?
I hope it really replaces the teachers that are not inspiring. I really believe that we all remember some teachers that define our personal career, because there's teacher as a career. It's a very nice profession. Doesn't pay that good, but good teachers, good tutors, Camila can tell us, really define children, really define the youth. So I really hope that the best teachers in the world stay there, and we embrace them, we pay them better, and we give them access to better tools to streamline their way of teaching. I expect AI to customize a formula for me so it's easier, but a good tutor, a good mentor, a good professor, a good teacher is always going to be thanked, and I really hope that they grow with institutions.
Right, Camila, I'd like to get your point of view on that, especially given that you resisted the advice of your investors to go completely online. Why was that? And what concerns do you have? I mean, if we do not get to that ideal world with which Christian was describing, where AI just replaces those that are not inspiring or not doing their job or not, helping the learners get to the level they need to.
When I started Tuteemi, I had the vision of this company being like a tool for kids to learn at home in a happy environment with their tutor. And going online meant having very young kids in front of a computer for an hour. And for me, I was like, no, it's like COVID, and they already have enough of that. Like, I don't want to be one more company pushing these little kids in front of their computer, because our main target audience back then, like our main students, were kids from 3 to 10 years old. And I was just really against having kids in front of a computer. But now that Tuteemi has all range of ages, like from 25, 75, 55-year-old students, we've been a bit more open and a bit more flexible with also having tutors online. And I do believe, like what Christian is saying, is just like, if we can have AI combined with the tutors and like having this like inspiring classes, something more fun, something more exciting for students to learn, I think is a lot better.
All right, so Camila, I understand that you've grown your platform in Taiwan, and you're looking overseas now for other markets. Are you going to follow the same model of connecting tutors, or is there going to be more of an AI digital element to it going forward?
I believe that what makes Tuteemi unique is that we are still sending the tutors to people's homes. When I was in Japan and South Korea, the more I talked with investors or friends, I believe that they still have the same problem. Like people in Taipei, Korea, and Japan are still scared of having a real conversation with a foreigner, and that fear is something that AI cannot take away because you're still using a computer to like take away this fear. So if we were to expand to markets like Japan and Korea, I think what would make Tuteemi special still would be like the premium or quality thing of having someone, a human, coming to your house to have a real conversation with you, to tutor you. But I do believe that in 2026, we want to implement a bit more of AI in like maybe students' homeworks or things like this, just so they can learn faster, but not fully replace them. Yeah.
All right, so speaking of regions, let's see how the edtech market is shared between regions. The US dominates the global edtech market with a 40% share, followed by Europe, then Asia, with 27 and 22% respectively. Latin America trails behind at 7%, according to the market intelligence firm Precedence Research. So, Christian, firstly, we're going to talk about the Latin American market now. You've been in Silicon Valley for more than a decade supporting Latin American startups. So what do you think the Silicon Valley misunderstands about Latin American markets, especially in education?
It's also hard to measure this, because if you think my business was supported by American dollars and those were deployed in Latin America, so where would you put companies like mine? Where do you put big companies like Duolingo, Coursera, that are also from the US but have a very big blueprint all over the world? So it's interesting, because at the end we live in a very global world and especially with AI, now you can build a great platform, and translating it and customizing it for a different market is pretty easy. So whenever you actually go and dig into the numbers, it can be complicated to see where it actually belongs.
Absolutely. Camila, looking at those numbers that we talked about, and perhaps on the back of what Christian was explaining, do you think there's untapped potential in Latin America? And are you looking at that market, having learned the lessons from Taiwan?
I think the market is completely different, right? Like a lot of people is just like, oh, are you expanding Tuteemi to Guatemala, right? And it's just like, no, this business model would never work in Latin America, at least in Guatemala. The tutors would always be late. I don't know, because the traffic, like there are like the business model for Tuteemi works in Asia because Asia works in that way, right? But the other thing is like, yeah, the numbers did surprise me. And I also believe like maybe in Latin America, like the amount of people that have access to technology is not the same amount of people that have access to technology and cell phones and good internet like in the US and in Asia, right? So I feel like there is a lot of need for improving education overall in Latin America. But I think I want to say I'm kind of new because I've been here for 3 weeks, and I am not sure what I want to build here, but definitely education is something that I'm very passionate about, and I definitely see a need for it here.
Yeah, I think access to education is key. Access to technology, rather, is key, and it definitely isn't a one-size-fits-all. Which, Christian, you probably, as now with Region 4, your investment fund, you probably now are even more aware of what fits and what works. And despite, as we mentioned, all these new companies are coming up because they can use AI without having to have that manpower and R&D and all of that used to precede a company. So how do you decide what's going to be a successful company in what you're doing? using AI and what's not? What are the fundamentals you look for?
I started my investment career investing heavily in Latin founders, focusing on Latin America. It was a great way to give back to the market that helped me develop and to really embrace and help other entrepreneurs like myself. So now I invest in Latinos, but I care that I invest a lot. I still invest a lot in Latinos, but I care that their teams are more diverse. And sometimes I actually get into great, amazing companies because luckily one of their best engineers happens to be from Mexico, from Venezuela, from Colombia. So I kind of feel like right now I am hunting for great technical talent, for ambitious people. And I would say that usually that people congregate in Silicon Valley. And I've been here for a decade. And the renaissance of Silicon Valley in the last 2 years with AI, it's something incredible, and I will never stop telling people that it's the best time to spend time here and to build from here. So I'm welcoming as many people as possible to try and produce to Silicon Valley. I hope more people from Taiwan come to Silicon Valley. There's so many amazing Taiwanese entrepreneurs that build their companies here, and that should be a great and inspiring lesson for future entrepreneurs in the area.
Yeah, that renaissance and AI's impact on entrepreneurs and businesses is something we definitely do talk about a lot on this program. And bringing it back to Taiwan, Camila, you know, if we go back to the human aspect of it, teachers in Asia have a very special place in society. They're highly respected. They're thought of as very much as leaders of society in many parts, perhaps in a very different way as they're regarded in the West. So in that sense, can you tell us what you feel the potential for EdTech is here in Taiwan and in the region when technology starts to play a bigger role in education?
Oh my God, that's like a really broad question because I feel like there's so much potential. And as Christian said in the very beginning, there are so many different kinds of edtech that Taiwan has a reputation of having one of the best technologies in the world. So I'm not going to be surprised when more and more AI companies or edtech companies come from Taiwan to the world. I do believe, because I do have a lot of local founders, entrepreneurs, sometimes they're focused too much in Taiwan. And I think now slowly they are thinking globally as well. But then, yeah, I feel like there is no limit when it comes to education, especially because of the amount of technology that Taiwan has and how smart people is there. Yeah.
Well, we just about run out of time. This has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you both so much. You brought so much energy to the discussion, and EdTech is definitely here to stay and such an important, will be a crucial and critical part of all our learning processes. Well, thank you so much, Camila Sáenz, for joining us from Guatemala City, and Christian Van Der Henst for speaking to us from San Francisco. It's been great to get you both on the program.